Hello and welcome to this webinar on HOFOR and its energy management of buildings. My name is Emilia Pisani and I will be the moderator for today. As such, I would like to give a warm welcome to our speaker, Gorm Elikofer. Gorm is Chief Customs Officer at HOFOR, Copenhagen's public energy company, where he has been working since 2010, though when he started at the company, he was still called Copenhagen Energy. Gorm is responsible for customer experience at HOFOR, including supply agreements, customer services, metering, billing, energy consultancy services, energy efficiency obligation, logistics, and user installation know-how. He is specialized in business operations and customer focus, strategy and business development, staff management development, change management and culture development, profit creation through projects, and cooperation. So today, Gorm is going to tell us a bit more about his company, HOFOR, and their strategy for energy management in buildings. Gorm, thank you for being here with us today. The floor is yours.
Thank you, and thank you, Emilia, for your introduction. And thank you to all you listening out there. Welcome to today's webinar here from sunny Copenhagen. I'm going to talk into a little bit about HOFOR as a company, but mostly how we work with energy efficiency in larger building within the city of Copenhagen. HOFOR, after we have merged with freshwater and wastewater companies in the surroundings of Copenhagen, now is the largest utility in Denmark in our core areas, which is freshwater drinking water, wastewater, district heating, district cooling, and town gas. We also build windmills and have power plants, mainly power plants to produce heat for our heat grid. At the moment, we are developing that into totally green energy by building the largest fossil-free power plant in the world. We have plus 1,000 employees. We have a gross turnover of 700 million euros and have a heavy investment at the moment, mainly in the power plant and in changing grid from steam to water, and also in all the protection of environment from global heating effects from heavy rains and turning water into softened water so that consumers will get a better product out of that. But let's dig into more about today's issues on heat consumption in larger building, because this is a very important part of our work on making Copenhagen CO2 emission-free capital in 2025. Of course, there are other initiatives, but the saving of energy and the building of the power plant is one of these two major issues there. We have already 30% CO2 emission-free biogas. We have plus 50% CO2 emission-free district heating. We have cleaned the water in the harbor, as some of you may know who has been to Copenhagen, so we can every day, all year long, even in the winter, bathe in the harbor. In the winter it's a little bit chilly, but you should try it out. And of course, we also work with all these other issues in all our areas to reduce energy consumptions to support the CO2 emission agenda. As you may know, the easiest energy to make CO2 emission-free is the one that we doesn't use, and this is also why we work with energy efficiency. What we have seen from reports made by consultancies like NIRAS, which is a major Danish consultant company, is that from renovating buildings, just renovating them, and you do not always get what you were asked for. This example that I'm showing here from this report by NIRAS is that they went into a lot of buildings which have been renovated, and some used less and even some used more energy after the renovation. It was just like traditional renovation with new windows, new insulation, and new roofs and stuff like that. One major example is that this house at the bottom of this page, you can see it's a house which won the the energy renovation price in 2013, and the guys who made it stated that it would save 75% of energy for heating after this renovation. And we can see from the consumption that they only save 29%. So we have an issue here where we believe that if you just renovate buildings with energy saving stuff, you will not get enough of it. So our philosophy is that you have to get knowledge of the building's consumption. So you have to put in intelligence in the consumption line, so you can see what is a real problem with this building, and then you can start with intelligent renovation. Because some buildings need new windows, some need a new heating system, some needs insulation, whatever. But every building that does not need the same. And before we have seen it on an intelligent way by meter data or consumption data, we cannot make sure how to renovate a building. So what we try to do is we try to build in this intelligence in the houses, and then help the building owners to do the right stuff. But first of all, the right stuff is to regulate the heating system, and that doesn't cost much investments, and sometimes it doesn't cost any investment, just cost a little bit of knowledge. But we'll come into that. What we also do working on energy efficient is that instead of just having data in the office with my guys, we try to put it out there to the users and especially to the decision makers. In the lower left side here is a picture of former energy minister and former finance minister of Denmark, when we have worked with the finance ministry on energy savings, and we had very good results there. They were really attracted to it, and the interesting thing is that the finance minister's conclusion is that, well, now we are working with energy in the same way that he worked with finance, namely by reporting and follow up and see what we can do. So what we see in the picture in the middle here is a heating scheme for a single building, where we can see the building is in what we call green. The trend is lowering energy over the years, and then we have some notes on how much it consumed per square meters and stuff like that. And what we also supply is that if you have a portfolio of building, we can support a portfolio overview. This is the picture on the right, where we can see this building portfolio owner has several buildings. Some is yellow, some is red, some is green. The tendency is normally going down, lowering the consumption year per year. And this is how you also can compete, or at least see through a whole portfolio of buildings. And in fact, this tool looks very simple. It's very hard to get there, but it has a tremendously effect. Normally we try to persuade the building owners to put it in the hallway where all decision makers in the building comes every morning, so they will have some intention of how is this building performing. And what is coming up now next in Copenhagen is that some of the guys that we are working with, the major building associate owners, is that they now go to say, well, especially the government-owned one, is say if we have to rent apartment buildings, they have to have a certain efficiency of energy. So now we are also pressing on the building owners. In fact, this is a very great tool, which of course demands for some intelligence out there. Let's move on here. This is an example of how the system works on the inside, but also on the outside. And it's also how to tell you a little bit how the development has been in HOFOR. We started out with remote metering and getting meter data in. This is the small picture here in the left with only the light green bars on it. And then we can see how much a building consumes hour per hour or day per day. And that's is to someone interesting, but you don't know if it's good or if it's bad. So one day it could be a high consumption. Is that good or bad? Is it low consumption? Is that good or bad? You wouldn't know. So what we did is that we developed this system with with a partner, uh, an IT partner, which is the major picture in the back here, with 3 bars on every hour. And now we can see that we have the consumption, which is still the light green. We have we make a budget, which is the gray one, and also then we make a degree day corrected budget, which is a dark green. And now we can see if the light green one, the day's consumption or the hourly consumption, is good or bad, because we hold it up and compare it with the expected consumption regulated for degree days. So this system now shows the operators in the basements or the building owners how are we performing due to the outside temperature. This is more interesting than just to see how much are we consuming. In fact, this is a very, very effective tool. We have tried to collect here in HOFOR this range of activities concerning energy management, intelligent energy management in buildings, in a portfolio which we call meter, which is consumption meter. Try to translate it is always a little bit messy when you translate national specific words into English, but it's in fact a way that presenting all of the activities in a group of products or services. And this is we have 2 ranges. We have a premium and we have a pro, and in fact the pro includes the main difference between the two is that includes services from our side with our energy consultants going out in the buildings, helping the operators to regulate or to make investment plans on their power units or their heating units. Sorry. And in fact, what we see is that on average, we make when we have been in operation in a building 2 or 3 years, we have a 10% saving of heating every year. Without any investment, normally without any investment, or with very few investments. This is quite heavy savings, measured in percentage, but also measured in money. So it's a win-win situation for the environment and the building owners. We also use this facility for Synometer for surveilling the water consumption. And what we do there is, what it makes possible for building owners to see, do we have running toilets or wasting water, which was not necessary. And this is, from our point of view, there are 2 arguments to go into that. One is to preserving the water resources in Copenhagen, not using too much water. The other one is saving the building owners money, because in Denmark the price of water is like that. If you have a running toilet, it costs you 10,000 kroner per year, which is in euro is something like 1,400 euros per year for a running toilet. And that you can see, if you see in the night consumption of water, then you can see, do we have some water here which shouldn't be used. In fact, this is an easy way to save money for building owners. And in older buildings, like in an old town of Copenhagen, you will have running toilets mainly all over. So in fact, this is quite effective. We also have a lot of activities on training staff in the buildings. They come here for courses or for lectures on how to operate the systems in a more effective way, and have networks. And in fact, we have managed now to have networks which is so efficient that they share problems. And I have this problem, you have this problem, and it's a very attractive network. Just to show you some examples that we have seen is that one major finding is that energy consumption does not have an age. Old buildings can have very good consumption grades, and newer buildings could have very poor consumption or high consumption. This example here is we have two buildings, one from 1966 that were fully renovated in 2007, and it consumes now 150 kilowatts per square meter. As you can see, it's a yellow dot. It's a yellow building in our energy management system. And then we have an old building. In fact, this is the Ministry of Finance from 1720, quite an old building. And it's consuming 85 kilowatts per square meter. In fact, a very effective building. And this is mainly because we have, of course, it's a good building, but we have worked with the hot water consumption. We have worked with the heating systems. And they have also made some renovations with windows and stuff like that. But you can see it's the old windows, but they have just made sure that they were tight and stuff like that. So, in fact, it's interesting, and this is not a single case here. That we see many cases where we can see the age of the building has nothing to do with the consumption. The consumption has to do with how the building is run by the staff there, and here the facilitator helps them to run it on a very good way. What we try now is to map the city. We want to make it interesting to compete, or what you might say. Which areas are the best energy consuming areas? And then we try to also use this light pole, red, yellow, green signs throughout the city. And here we have the city of Copenhagen. The island, the white island in the middle is another city which is called Frederiksberg, which is not in our supply area. But the other areas are areas of the city. And then we take these areas of the cities and divide them in the lower right corner here into smaller areas. And we can see, even though you have a green area, a yellow area, as an area it looks yellow, we have both green and red sections of this area. And then we can divide it even more, going from this area into smaller hoods of Copenhagen. So now we have this is from a yellow area, but we can see there are yellow hoods and red hoods. Here we have a quarter in Sydhavn, which we have divided into 7 areas, 250 buildings down there. It's quite good consumption down there, so that's really something to work on. And now we try to go even further down and drilling it out to buildings. And here you can see this is just an example, but it could look like this if we are not finished with this project, but it could look like this, where we have buildings which are red or buildings which are green. And then the idea is to make the guys in the green houses talk with the guys in the red or yellow houses. How are we doing? And then put these guys, operational guys, on the same seminars and have them to share their experience and ideas. And then eventually turning red into yellow and yellow into green, and also make sure that the green buildings stay green in the manner of how much do you consume per square meters. So this is a way of displaying to building owners how is your building compared to your neighbors. This is an interesting tool which we are developing at the moment and try to launch very soon. What you see here is we have some. This is just to show you about the consumption in buildings where when we take decisions in Denmark on a political scale, we tend to use figures from collected from energy management made by the constructions, how the building constructed, and then we take out these theoretical values and make energy decisions on. But when we take the data from buildings from certain ages and compare them with the theoretical data, we can see there's 10 to 30% higher consumption in buildings in reality than in theory. And this is mainly due to two things, in my opinion. And one is that the building may not have been built the way they should have been built. There were building failures or whatever. And also the fact that there are people in the houses which does not live the way that they were expected to do in the spreadsheets. But this gives us some problems with a decision from a political level if we have politicians taking decisions on data which is not correct. So we're trying to now to work this using also our calculation and measurements and intelligence energy consumption data to work on the political level to make decisions more correct, or at least make the figures and data which is where the decision is made on more correct. This is a problem on the decision making on energy efficiency. But I think that we on an energy efficient stakeholder view need to motivate the decision makers and technical staff to create a demand for energy efficiency system and tools. We can see it works. So we will have to work on a more pull. Now we have worked on a push phase of this energy efficiency or intelligent efficiency, energy efficiency. And we need to work it over so we get a pull. I think we see it taking off now, but we are not finished. We also have to reach an acceptance of where data or even valid data is essential for taking the right decision. And then we have to be aware that everything is about people. There are people in the houses, and we have to help them to operate the buildings correct. But there are also users of the buildings where we have to help them use the buildings in the right way. This is the major task because human behavior is often very hard to work with. Then on a national base, we are working on how to work with the degree days on a standard way, and we have to be more. We have to have standards throughout this, so that when we work with our customers in one way, another time they work with the customers in another way. This is not very good from a competition perspective. And then we have to generate new services on these systems. And I think we have some ideas inside the company which I will not reveal for you here, but we are coming up with some very interesting things using these data. So thank you for listening, and we will continue here in HOFOR helping the city owners, the building owners in Copenhagen having a more green footprint, and also helping us creating a CO2 emission-free Copenhagen to 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, Gorm, for this refreshing and innovative strategy that I thought was very interesting what you said at the end, where you have really a people and customer focus. I have a couple questions for you, starting with more general. What are the results of this strategy that you've been put in place? Do you have concrete results and examples that you can share with us today?
We have some very, very interesting results with this. I think that one of the results is that we have some examples of very, very heavy consumers where a very small activity out of the customer in fact changed the whole consumption. Last week, one of my energy guys came home from a visit in a building in Copenhagen, where he could see from the data in the office that something was wrong. He went out there, and the guy said, "Well, this is working perfectly." And then my guy said to him, "Well, could you show me how good it is?" And they went down the basement. And after a small talk on how perfect this was running, my guys were saying, "What is this wire hanging there?" And then it was just a temperature detection unit which has fallen off, and when they put it in, the consumption of this house fell by 30%. So we have a very large amount of quick fixes which we can use, where we can work on, but we have also have long-term effects we can see now. We have been in operation for 2 years now with this product, and we can see that we are really working. We have from 2 years we have 7-8% in energy reduction, and we have just a group of building owners, major building owners, which we are working with. They have been in this for around 6 months or something, and we see on a general basis, on an average basis, they have 2.26% lower energy consumption within 6 months. So we have some results that we can show.
That is very impressive. Thank you. So it's a complex strategy, but with concrete and rather short-term results. You talked a lot about this relationship with the customers. At one point, you talked about the discrepancy between the calculations and measurements, or the predictions you'd had when implementing this, and the actual measurements, actual results. You said that the tenants do not act in a way that was expected. What are they doing that was not expected? And what can you do to help these tenants and customers to be more sustainable?
I think that what we can do is that to raise the issue and raise their attention to it. But what we see at least in Copenhagen or in Denmark, I do not know if that's a cultural part of Danish people, but I do not believe so. But what we see is that when someone goes there, build a building with low consumption, this feeling is in the users of the building turned into, well, if it's so efficient the building, I can turn off the heat a little bit more, turn on the heat a little bit more, and instead of having 21 degrees in the living room, I can have 23. But because what does it matter? This building is so effective. We have just finished some studies into perfectly new buildings in Copenhagen, which should be built very, very, very energy efficient, and we can just see that they are not working as efficient as they should. We have new areas near the harbor now, which has been developed with low energy consuming buildings, and they are not at all consuming as less energy as they should. And there are two issues there. One is that maybe they were built a little bit too fast, and the building owner did not have the tools to make performance contracts with one who built the building. So he doesn't know if it's built in the right way. The other one is that when they have built this building, they just turn it over to the operators and do not tell them how to operate it, and they do not educate the consumers how you live in such an technological high-class house. So we have a lot of issues there where we have to work with the building owners, and this is also why we, in cooperation with the municipality of Copenhagen, have started an activity which has now run for around a year, which is called Energy Jump, where we have invited all major building owners to work with us on two issues. One is the operation of building, and now we are developing into also work with performance contracts. So if you build a house or energy renovate a house, you should enter a performance contract with the constructor, and then he should be obliged to deliver the energy savings which is in the contract. And we can, in fact, by our tools, make it possible for the building owners to see if the building is working as predicted, and then there should be some penalties there.
Yeah, so it sounds like there's a lot of work to be done in terms of education and particularly customer engagement. So teaching them different everyday actions that will help with the performance of the building. And in that sense, I was wondering, have you noticed a greater or lesser impact, or what has been the impact of the building comparison? At one point, you showed it how you could break down from the different regions in Copenhagen to the different neighborhoods to the different buildings, and you had green, yellow, red buildings. When you have this sort of competition between buildings, have you noticed that all of a sudden people in the neighborhood have started to pay more attention to their actions compared to their neighbors?
There's a technical or a legal problem with this competition issue, because here we are talking about data which, at least in Denmark, and I believe also throughout the EU, is personal protected data. So we cannot just display it on a website. So we have to have people there having to agree to go into these competition activities. And in the beginning that was a little bit difficult, because the building owners were a little bit aware of going into should I show the others how bad I am, that kind of thoughts. But I think that the work in Energispring, as I talked about earlier, has developed this now. Now they in fact, we have, I believe, 80 on. We are reaching about 100 buildings in Copenhagen, which is competitive. And that in fact has the main issue there is that what it has created is very good talks between the operators of these buildings. When they can see one building which is working very good with, and they know this building looks like the one that I'm operating, and I can see that my figures are not as good as that building. And then we have these training courses where they meet, and they know, this guy, I have to talk to him and find out how did he do it. And in fact, that is working. But there's some steps there. And the first difficult step is to engage building owners and make them secure that it doesn't matter. You will not get hung out in the tabloid press by sharing your data on energy consumption. It will just help you getting better. This is the main leap. And then when we're over that, we can provide setups which really increases the cooperation of getting a low.
Side as well. Are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. I have a question about the Forcinometer program and these programs. So you've mentioned great savings for the customers, but services you provide, that you do charge for them or not. And you mentioned about you had the different levels, the pro or the premium, and if so how do you see this having an impact on the bottom line, on the income and revenue sources of the company?
Before asking that question, I have to introduce a little bit of how this in Denmark, Danish regulation on heating companies is. In Denmark, heating companies are non-profit, so we cannot earn money. Everything that we earn should go back to the customers. This is one issue, and second issue is that from a governmental point of view, we have an obligation to work with energy savings. And we have quite a big obligation on our company because we supply so much energy. So this is two issues that goes into that equation. But from a company point of view, one thing that we do see as a benefit is that working with energy consumptions in larger building make it possible for us also to work with return temperatures, which is a very, very important factor when you talk district heating system grids, and especially when we talk new modern power plants. The return temperature has an effect on the output efficiency of that power plant. So if we do not have low return temperatures, we will have bad efficiency and bad economy on the power plant side. So in fact, from a company point of view, we due to this work, decrease the return temperature, and by that increase the economical value of the power plants. And from the customer point of view, we can lower the energy cost per customer, which will not affect our bottom line, because our bottom line should be a zero.
Okay, that's very interesting, and I can imagine rather unique. Of course, it changes the whole attitude when you're a non-for-profit by law, which is great, very interesting. But so all this work, it's had great impact for the company. How have you been working with this in the region of Copenhagen? Is it only being implemented within the city boundaries, or have you started to see replications of these initiatives in surrounding municipalities? And has that affected your relationship with those municipalities and collaborating, maybe connecting the networks? Yeah, what's been the impact at a regional level, do you know?
Yeah, I think that within on a regional level, we by by my regret, we see it as a regional level as Denmark. We do not even see from a Copenhagen point of view into the southern part of Sweden or whatever. We should be better to doing that. But from a Danish point of view, we see some issues is raising now. I think we like to see is that we are a little bit ahead using this intelligent energy savings. But we see the very high interest on what we are working with, and I believe within very few years we will see that this is normally that we need to work with energy consumption.
Thank you. Yeah, so one last question is, are there any final words or piece of advice you'd like to give to our listeners who would be interested in replicating this initiative in their own municipalities and their own energy companies?
I think that there maybe would be three things that I would like to deliver to them. Is that one is you have to work with valid data. Validation of data is essential, and you have to make these data. Secondly, you have to make these data accessible and relevant to the one who uses it, and learn them how to use the data. And thirdly, but not leastly, you have to accept that there are people behind all these data and behind the windows of the houses and in the basements of the houses, and this is a people issue.
Great. Thank you very much for your time today and all this fantastic advice and sharing of your experience. So this webinar is recorded and will be available on the Celsius Toolbox. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.